This is Let's Talk About Magnum PI, the podcast from fans for fans of Magnum PI.
Hello there, we're at the new podcast episode, and I'm slightly injured, so that was that. Can't throw my arm up. Need to remind myself.
Fun.
Don't hurt yourself more.
So we have one topic, which is trauma, for this episode, but I think we have something even more important to discuss right now for the beginning, right?
Bravo!
Yeah, bravo! We got a little bit of season 4, like half a second or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm being in Europe, I walked into the fandom on Friday morning and it was on fire, but on a good fire, I guess. Everybody was hyped as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it like right when it happened. I was recording it like on cable or whatever, but wasn't watching it because I didn't have any faith that we would actually get any MPI content. And then Twitter just
Boom.
Exploded.
Boom.
And I was like, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, okay. Oh God. Okay then. And then of course it set in that it's probably a dream. My vote is on Higgy, by the way.
My vote is on Higgy too.
Yeah.
I have a completely different theory. I have a theory where it's from what I've seen, at least from all the little gifs that people made, edits and whatnot, it's like her makeup's kind of smudged. That's how at least I've seen it. I mean, I'm wearing glasses, so that could be it as well.
That is one fine smoky eye that she's wearing right there.
Well, anyway, I don't know. My theory is that maybe, you know how the writers said they want to start season 1 with a bang, basically. What if season 4? Yeah, I'm kind of scatterbrained. I'm sorry. But yeah, basically, what if something big happens in episode 1 right off the bat, and something big happens to Thomas? Like, pull a parallel with Steve with Wo-Fat, where he's tortured. What if something similar happens there and Higgy basically runs to the rescue?
And he, for some reason, ends up almost kissing her.
Maybe he's in the, like, dizzy in the daze, something completely zoned out, and he just leans into her for a hug, but they cut it, perfectly so it looks like a kiss. It's a wild theory. I know.
It's a very out there theory, yeah. So my money is on either Higgy's dream or Thomas is fantasizing about this while actually kissing Aaliyah.
Yeah, I thought that too. People think also that it could be Higgy, like it's either one of their dreams, and then people have also said White Knight. Like either a future White Knight book.
I could see
that. And then I have another crazy out there theory, is that it's Higgy's like flashback dream, kind of, where she's remembering something that actually did happen to her in whatever, like an old mission, but she's replacing Russia. Yeah, we assume it's Russia because there was a tidbit of Russian writing on the back, at least we think. And that she's replacing maybe Richard with Magnum in the situation. So she's remembering something.
For some reason, Richard was shirtless.
For some reason. I mean, she was in love with the guy.
Maybe Richard was fully clothed and during Magnum is shirtless, because I wouldn't blame her.
Yeah. Exactly. She's mixing the two. She's mixing reality and fantasy together in her dream. And that's what her subconscious comes up with. Right? And I at first thought, like, because we saw the Russian writing, that for sure it was, like, Higgy. But then I also remember that Magnum's also had time in Russia.
Red State.
Which only occurred to me, like, about an hour and a half ago.
It definitely happened. He was definitely in Russia during whatever mission he had that led to the book called Red State. Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of threw my theory out the window.
Could be either of them.
Yeah.
But
regardless, I'm very excited.
We've seen parts of that book played out on screen already, so that's a thing. And honestly, we kind of have the theory, had the theory in our White Knight episode that Higgy is in the books in whatever capacity, and it's a fictional work, so Higgy could be in the books. Or there's a new book, because it's been 4 years, so it's like 3 years since the last book. Writing a book, if you're fast, takes about 30 days. Editing it takes about another 30 days. Letting it go through all of the publishing stages takes about 2 years, unless you're like Stephen King or shit. Yeah. Quite likely that there's a new book, and Higgy actually made her way into that there. So, could be. And in a fictional book, it would make sense for the White Knight to not wear a shirt, even though it wouldn't make a sense in reality.
So,
but let's be real.
And the writers did confirm that we are seeing it in the premiere, so the questions will be answered on October 1st.
Or 2nd, depending on where the fuck you are.
Exactly.
For us, it's definitely October 2nd, because it's like 2 a.m. in the night.
Or 3, maybe
2.
even. 2? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Checked it.
2? I thought it was 3.
Yeah, wait, it's 3 a.m. in 5 weeks after October 1st.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like November 1st, it's 3 a.m. for like half a day, or half a week or 2 weeks or something. Thanks to different times in going into daylight saving.
Mm.
Yeah,
because it's 9 p.m. for me, and I think you guys are 6 hours ahead of me.
Yeah,
which would make it.
We are.
Yeah. So somebody else has to do the math because it's way too early for me. But
you are correct in your math.
There we go. So yeah, I'm very excited to see that because I need answers.
Do we want to stay with season 4 when we start with the trauma thing? Because I have trauma research done on a certain character that we don't even have yet. Boom.
I would say go ahead.
Go for it.
I have looked into the trauma that is being forced or having to keep a dark secret for reasons that are entirely due to Rhea. So I was looking into what false beliefs that could cause, which is obviously telling it will make me disloyal. Secret will come out. Obviously, guilt. The character could respond to having to lie. For it to become.
Sorry.
Hi, Rufus. Having for today.
He's having his little nightmares. He's having his
Rufus,
little.
But we have to talk about Rhea. I'm sorry. Or did you see her outside? Because she's currently in the same place as you are.
It's true. Chantal is here. At least I think she is. She's been radio silence for a while. She hasn't. So
maybe she's up to interesting shenanigans. So Leah's response is to being forced or having for other reasons to keep a dark secret. If it's a dark secret, we don't know. She might have to, lying and deception might become a second nature to her. She might rewrite the truth in her own head, so she might believe her own lie. She might tell conflicting stories to, for example, Thomas and Gordon, which is how they could find out. She might enlist others to keep her secret. Maybe Rick and TC, so Magnum won't get hurt, which I don't think they would. She might have nightmares, depression. She might be wary of someone who could sniff it out, which in her case is not gonna be the thing because Thomas can sniff a secret like 5 miles away. Usually. Lack of focus and attention to one's duties. That's the one that really bit it for me. She's Gordon's partner. If she has to keep a dark secret there, it might be a chance that she might fuck up her job.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Which kind of jives with one of the spoilers that we'll get into later, what you just said. So keep that ingrained, because I think Tim posted something that kind of supports what you just said.
Ooh. She might be becoming temperamental or volatile. She might be nervous around the authorities. Again, she's working for HPD, depending on what her secret is. She might struggle to opening up to people. Yeah, and she might be hostile to people who could sniff out her secret. I'm thinking Higgy there.
Me too.
Yeah.
So attributes for someone who has to keep a secret is she might be alert, cautious, cooperative, courteous, curious, diplomatic, discreet, easygoing. I hope she's easygoing, because otherwise she wouldn't really fit with manga. Focused, independent. Definitely. She's definitely going to be independent. We're on Magnum PI. There you have their women independent. Loyal, mature, observant, patient, protective, and trusting. Or she might be cowardly, dishonest, evasive, forgetful, hostile, impulsive, inhibited, insecure, irrational, irresponsible, nervous, rebellious, and resentful. Triggers that might, and that one was an interesting one for me. Triggers that might actually make her more volatile is someone sharing another secret.
Oh.
And being asked outright about the secret and having to lie about it. So just from researching the keeping a dark secret, I'm like, this could be so interesting. We could have her being outright against Juliet being outright against her, because, well, she's gonna protect her boys.
Yeah.
And she's coming in with fresh eyes, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, again, we don't know really how much Rick and TC know about / have met Leah in the time that Higgy was away, but Higgy is definitely going to be one of the last to meet Leah of the Ohana. So she's going to come in with fresh eyes. Yeah, if not the last. And then she's going to come in with fresh eyes, and she's, I think, going to be able to see parts of Leah that maybe others won't be able to see.
Yeah. Especially if Leah has already spun. If there is a web of lies, she will have spun it around several characters. So the fresh eyes will be something interesting. Unless it's like a harmless secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, writers, please don't. Please don't do that.
We are scarred from 309 already. Please make something good out of it.
Yeah, you have such a good opportunity here. Please don't go to 309. Please.
Please don't go to Hannah.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Because Hannah was like this big bad, and we know from the alternative, from the almost pilot, that she could have been so much worse. And looking back at it, I guess she probably should have been a little worse. Because in the end, what resolved Hannah's storyline was her having to protect her father, so she got a little bit of redemption. And for someone who's been hated throughout season 1 for several episodes, yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's a little.
So, come on, give us a badass bad woman.
Give us somebody evil. Like, maybe
yes.
it doesn't have to be Leah. It doesn't necessarily have to be Leah, but please,
anyone will do.
Some evil person. Please.
Overarching villain. We need an overarching villain.
We do.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching the beginning of like Blood in the Water yesterday, and like we didn't necessarily have like an overarching villain, but the guys who boat jacked them were more evil than
Yeah.
than the Hamlers. Let's be honest here. They did some real damage.
Sure.
I mean, they shot Higgy, right? They shot
Left
Higgy.
him to die painfully
Yes.
in the water.
Thank you. Thank you. And then they went back for them. Like they need to finish them off. Like yeah, like just that like first 10 minutes of Blood in the Water was more intense than 309 as a whole, I think.
There's a lot of things that we're missing with 309 and a lot of things that we're missing with the entire storyline. And I think, given that they obviously talk to fans, I think they learned from it, and I think they will not make that mistake again. Please do not prove me wrong.
Fingers crossed. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed that they learned.
If you prove me wrong, I'm going to be so disappointed. Okay, let's start with the elephant in the room for trauma. POW camp.
Yes.
Yeah. That will definitely leave some marks, both emotionally and physically.
On
For
more
sure.
than one character. And
Mhm.
led, I think, to some things in Thomas that we see now. Some character traits, even.
I
Like,
think the
there's-
survival instinct. is
Yeah.
one of- Like that doing whatever's necessary to like protect him and his Ohana. That general survival instinct.
Protectiveness is one of the traits that comes from this kind of emotional trauma, being held captive. One of the things is protectiveness, and one of the fears that these characters often develop, or people often develop, is someone they love being taken and suffering the same ordeal. So obviously that's one of the reasons why you went a little bit on team, oh my god, we gotta get Higgy out, even though they could have made it so much better.
Yeah. I mean, it did almost come true with 309 when Juliet was kidnapped. So it was just as I feel like he would blame himself for the most part if something would have happened to her, because he could have protected her and didn't manage to in the end.
Yeah. And he did blame himself. He did blame himself. Remember
I
at the
know.
end, he didn't blame himself for her getting hurt because like she didn't really get hurt, but he did blame himself for her getting kidnapped. Remember, like when they're at the bar and he says, he's like, you know, if I hadn't taken the case with the Hamlers before I even knew you, then like none of this would have happened. And she's like, you
Which is
can't
bullshit. He
blame
knew her.
yourself. Like, yeah. No, he didn't know her. Oh, he did know her. Did he?
Yeah, we
Oh, yeah, we
literally
got the
saw a
flashback.
scene in the wine cellar. He knew
Right.
her.
Right, he knew her.
Yeah, but
Right, but
they weren't friends yet.
Yeah. That's true, he knew her. Oh my gosh. But yeah, he definitely blamed himself for the kidnapping. So.
He has a certain amount of survivor skill too. That one. Like if someone dies that he thinks he could have saved, that dude has survivor skill and questions why he made it out and others didn't, especially with Nuzo.
Yeah. And he even says it. Nuzo saved my life and I couldn't save his, which basically hits the nail on the head.
Yeah, he's got survivor skill big time.
100%.
There's something on another emotional wound that I want to talk about. Post-traumatic stress is clear. Another thing that comes from this kind of emotional trauma is fatigue and nightmares. And we know he has them.
Yes.
He's got a very wild imagination that even is too wild for reality to catch up on.
Yeah, because there was all that stuff with the white van. He
Yeah.
had a bunch of nightmares. But did he have nightmares prior to that too? I can't remember if we've seen him have other nightmares.
I think it was implied once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
implied.
too. Yeah, I vaguely remember there being some sort of a like either mention of it or it happened. I can't remember because like for some reason like when he was having all the nightmares with the white van, like to me it wasn't the first time.
No, it
he'd
wasn't.
had
He was
them.
too collected after, I think.
Yeah. So if somebody knows what episodes those are, let us know because I'm curious and I can't remember.
I mean, maybe it wasn't even like outwardly, like straight up said. Maybe it was just, vaguely implied. And
be.
maybe even being fatigued could go along with, how he, yes?
There was another episode, I think, in season 1 or season 2 where he didn't sleep. Which is
that when he
something
had the
that,
concussion?
yeah, which was where we
Ooh.
realized that he gets a mean streak when he didn't sleep, and there was one where he got this mean streak because he didn't sleep.
Yeah.
He's mean when he's sleep deprived.
I
Sorry,
mean, who
guys.
isn't?
Me, I'm useless when I'm sleep deprived. Not me.
I get cranky.
Oh, yeah.
I mean when I'm overdosing on caffeine and when there's idiots around, which is like every day.
I feel that hard.
Yeah, I know you do. It is. Is it still there? I lost something.
About
There is an emotional wound that I researched where the direct response people have is here we are. It is kind of related to the POW camp. It's mostly related, and it's also relating to Higgett, the emotional wound of bearing the responsibility for many deaths.
Oh.
So obviously that applies to all 4 of the boys, including Nuzor, may you rest in peace, and Higgins. There is this false belief that they could never make up, blah, 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 PTSD symptoms, pulling away from family and friends, Higgins. And the big one is, one of the possible responses and results from this kind of trauma, probably also from the POW camp, is moving to a new city or town to get away from one's past. And we see that in Higgins, in Magnum, in every single one of them.
It's true.
Yeah.
And Higgy also has this entire thing about avoiding friendships and not allowing people to get close in the beginning and lying about one's past.
It's true. She didn't really come out and say what she did prior to Hawaii.
She was, even.
Yeah.
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 And she didn't tell Ethan either.
Yeah, there's a lot of even straight up character traits that can be associated with what they went through. For Magnum and the other guys for the POW camp, they're alert, appreciative, bold, nurturing, observant, protective, resourceful, socially aware. All of that applies to Magnum. It could also be character traits that he developed in response to what he went through and might not have been his initial type of thing, or not just developed, like it heightened.
Yeah, 100%.
The other ones that the flaws are not really there for them, so it's just the good traits that they might have developed for that one.
That one.
And yes, if anyone's wondering what I'm doing with these papers, I've got like 8 pages with 4 pages printed on them each, so I'm like prepared.
Extra prepared.
Yes. I went wild on that research.
And I'm like the least prepared of the three of us this
At least you woke
week.
up for it. At least you woke
Yeah.
up for it. That's all we're asking. Staying with bearing the responsibility for many deaths. Attributes are being cautious, courageous, discreet, empathetic, focused, humbled, independent, merciful, which Thomas definitely is, persistent, proactive. And now we have flaws, which kind of apply to Higgy more. Antisocial, which she was in the beginning. Cynical, defensive, kind of obsessive, temperamental, and timid. Well, timid, not
All of those.
but all of them apply to her.
Yeah.
There's also she could be scatterbrained, but that obviously doesn't apply to Julia.
No.
I mean, Higgy has had, her fair share of trauma too. I mean, she literally said it to Amanda Sacco when they were doing yoga, and
she
was
even
like,
shares trauma with Thomas that they don't even realize.
It's true, but like in the yoga when she says, "Age is not a number or something; it's a catalog of
experiences." Yes.
Yeah, and she's like, and I too have had some unpleasant ones.
Yeah,
So-
understatement of the century, honestly.
Yeah.
And I wonder, she must feel some guilt about Richard's death. I mean,
100%.
I cannot see her not feeling guilty.
Well, we'll get to that now. Wait. Yes, I have to rifle through my paper. I am sorry. Losing loved ones to a random act of violence. This is the emotional one that we're talking about with Richard Dane's death. Was it Dane?
Danes?
Yeah.
Dane.
Danes. I think it's Dane.
Dane. Dane. Richard Dane. False beliefs that could be embraced. I should have been able to prevent it. Definitely. Also, that also applies to Magnum, TC, and Rick in a way due to Nuzo.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's one that Higgy fully embraced. It's better not to love anyone than to love and have someone taken from you. She embraced that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's only a matter of time before what you love is taken from you. Also applies to Higgy. Character, what she may fear is losing an unloved one to violence. Definitely. Not being in control. Definitely. Trusting someone and endangering a loved one as a result. Applies to all of them. Possible responses is depression. We don't know about Higgy, but given that she
Could be.
completely lost it after Richard's death, as far as we know, I would bet my money that it was. Engaging in displays of anger to release emotion at whoever was responsible.
Her going rogue to go after her.
Not just that. Almost shooting Ian.
Ian, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in the day of the Viper, yeah.
And she would have if
Thomas didn't
Magnum
stop her.
hadn't. If Magnum hadn't talked to her and like reasoned with her, or like gotten through to her, that's what I wanted to say.
Clinging to photos and mementos.
The necklace.
The necklace!
And the photo she has of her and Richard on her laptop that she shows Thomas.
True. True.
Difficulty trusting someone new, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Magnum! She does that to Magnum! Being aloof, having a hard time letting people in. Especially
Higgins.
if the partner was killed. Definitely applies to Higgins, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And now there is one that applies to all of them. Becoming alert and more aware of one's surroundings. It's all of them.
Yeah.
They're hyper alert of their surroundings. Personality traits that may form. Appreciative, empathetic, generous, hospitable. Introverted, loyal, definitely all of them. Observant, passionate. Passionate definitely applies to Magnum. She's back! Hi!
What?
Can you repeat that? You were frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay, I was saying when you mentioned like the alertness, I was like, do you think that that's because of, or do you think that has to partly do with the fact that they were all military and or MI6? Because I feel like that could also be part training.
Yeah.
All of that is part of what is a cocktail of what they've been through and what they've trained to do. But all of that is part of who they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's loyal. Well, yeah, she's loyal. Protective, passionate. The flaws are antisocial, hostile, nervous, obsessive, a little bit paranoid, and pessimistic.
It's like they've taken what you've just read and just applied it to Juliet in season 1. It's just like a copy paste. Almost
For
like
real.
a textbook example.
That is
Of
from
everything.
a textbook.
I know.
Literally from a textbook for writers. Not even lying, it's from a textbook for writers.
They have that textbook.
Yeah. Then we have the emotional wound of being physically assaulted. No brainer. All of them are frequently physically assaulted on the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically,
But I do think maybe Thomas has it. Thomas went through it a bit more since he was like in solitary confinement a lot.
no. Being tortured and physical assault are two very different things.
Not I didn't even want to go to being tortured, but like being
That
beaten
is
up.
tortured. No, that is torture in that case. There is this physical assault is this I'm meeting you on eye level and we're fucking beating each other up. Torture, there is this imbalance of power, and whoever tortured Magnum, whoever beat Magnum up in that context had the power and Magnum had none. Very different emotional wounds, very different thought processes that result from that. That's why it's classed
chunked
into
them
torture.
into the same bin basically.
Yeah, no, but textbook chunks them into torture. Both. Different. It's because there's this other thing. There is of course this imbalance of power, but the institution that tortures him in the POW camp, that's a totally different ballgame in that case, where the confinement and that imbalance and him having to protect his guys are completely going for something else. And physical assault doesn't cause much for our guys. The only that was interesting. I just lost my headphones. The only thing that I have there is they're becoming overprotective with loved ones, and well, they are. Not gonna lie, they are. That's all there is to that. So that's all they might have taken away from that little emotional wound that I know.
Mm-hmm.
There is one, interestingly enough, that when I looked at it, haven't even credited much. But the results of that are interesting enough to mention it. Witnessing a murder. Which obviously all of them have, and they have committed some of those murders themselves. But one of the responses, or two of the responses, are beefing up the security in one's home.
Oh.
And buying a gun. And training oneself with a gun.
But they would technically already have gun experience just from military and MI6. But the beefing up security part.
And the amount of guns that they apparently have Higgins has hidden on the estate. Well, I'm pretty sure every room has a gun.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Plus,
I read a fanfic about that.
Who hasn't?
And I do believe Rick also has a substantial amount of weapons as well, because he did show up with a shotgun in season 1,
Betsy!
episode 1, and then, yeah, Betsy,
Betsy!
who was
He's like-
confiscated
He's like,
later
can I have
on.
Betty back now?
Or
Nope.
Betty, oh,
Like, can I have Betty
sorry.
back
Betty.
now? Yeah,
I-
Betsy's
Betsy's
his wife.
Sorry. I mean, they could have named the gun after him. Let's be
Yeah.
Aw.
True.
To go to what Rhea said, being tortured is especially in this textbook applied to POWs. False beliefs could be I can't trust anyone. I heard people. I can't control what happens to me. They fear being held against their will. They fear what they have been tortured with, like fire, water, electricities, blah, blah, blah. They fear opening up, which doesn't apply to them, but to someone else.
To Juliet,
Mm.
yeah. Because the guys basically have an inbuilt support system with each
Yeah.
other.
They already had this vulnerability with them, and they could trust each other. Needing space also applies to Juliet.
Yeah.
Having to
Yeah.
talk oneself down. And that applies to Magnum because he talks to himself quite frequently.
The voiceovers.
Yeah.
He literally, in some voiceovers, reasons with himself about what he's currently doing with us, but also if you take away the fourth wall, it could be him like before you judge, aka before I judge myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Attributes: alert, analytical, courageous, gentle, introvert, kind, loyal, merciful, nurturing, private, sentimental, socially aware. Flaws: again, dude did not get many of them, except for like
But our girl did.
oh girl, yeah, there's always this nice little antisocial, inhibited, slightly cynical. Yeah, our girl did.
Our girl got a lot.
Our girl, but you can tell that it's because she didn't have the support system that Magnum, TC, and Rick had. They had each other, and Juliet's slowly getting there too.
Yeah, she's becoming part of their little family, and they do like in anything, like any new trauma that comes up within the group, they're there to support her.
Yeah, and she's also working through the trauma that she already has, which we see in season 3 quite evidently, because a lot of the attributes that we saw that can stem from trauma for her, she's leaving behind to date someone, aka Ethan, which is clearly showing that she's healing from it, and girl has definitely accepted her support system.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you want to get to the ones that Magnum and Higgy shared?
What about,
Probably
like,
share?
losing loved ones and stuff?
Losing a parent.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh, true.
Losing a parent. What do you got, Rhea?
Oh goodness. I have like a whole essay about it basically.
Go for it.
So obviously with Thomas, I don't know if it's the case with Juliet, but Thomas lost his dad early on, and whenever he like talks about his dad and spending time with him, you can just tell how sacred that bond with his dad was, how appreciative he was, and it's basically was something special that I do believe he will try to incorporate and do with his own child when he later on gets one, but basically, yeah, he doesn't even have like that many quote unquote reminders of his dad. He does have the baseball cap because they went to baseball games all the time and everything, and the watch. Like, basically, that's the one.
That's a lot. He has baseball games too. He has a lot of reminders of it.
Yeah, but material ones. It's basically comes down to that baseball cap and the watch.
He was
Doesn't it?
He was 8. What do you expect? That's the ones that we saw. He has a box of memorabilia that we have not fully explored yet.
Oh, that's a
True.
fair point. I completely tossed it out the window. Right
His
there.
trunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then there's him losing his mom due to illness while he was a POW, and only finding out she passed after he got out.
You know what? One of the fears is that someone develops after losing a parent, losing the other one. Yeah. Possible responses and results are viewing life differently due to loss of innocence, which sadly I think applies to Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like he had to grow up a lot, or he did grow up a lot after.
I was gonna say, didn't he say he became like the man of the house, like when he was talking to Jake, like in the pilot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he was like, I had to, like, he didn't exactly say like I became the man of the house, but he said he had to kind of step up and whatever.
Another response is insomnia or restless sleeping habits, and he definitely has restless sleeping habits. We see it on screen. He one time he wakes up with his head on the foot of the bed. He doesn't seem to have a fully flexed position to sleep. He has quite the restless sleeping habits. Anxiety, depressions, guilt, shame, or anger, especially as the memories of the parents grow foggy. Becoming overly attached to people. Ohana comes to mind there. Becoming fiercely self-reliant, which he is. Even him mooching off of people is fiercely self-reliant. He knows how to get shit.
True.
Yeah.
And the other character that potentially lost a parent that has become fiercely self-reliant is Higgy.
Yeah. And I think it was 107 or the case with the guy with dementia.
Yeah. Which was mentioned there. She might still be alive. We never really heard if she's dead.
No, we don't know.
But she's still essentially gone.
And we know nothing about Higgy's father either.
Yeah, we know she has a grandmother, obviously.
Yeah.
Who taught her how to fly.
Yeah, there's that. So people that lose a parent can become very affectionate, appreciative of others, gentle, imaginative, which Thomas definitely is, independent, nurturing, protective, sentimental, and unselfish. All applies to Thomas, which goes back to he learned all of that at a very young age. Flaws, some of them really apply to Thomas, Impulsive, disorganized, irresponsible, promiscuous, especially in season 1, jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Worrywart, Thomas. Workaholic applies to Juliet, on the other hand. Inhibited, insecure, evasive. Old Juliet.
Sums them up.
That was all my pages. I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done.
If you're
It's
done,
my God.
I have something.
You have something. Go for it.
Yes, I have found like when we were talking about PTSD, I didn't want to interrupt you or anything, but there's like three, I guess, three different categories of symptoms of
Yeah,
PTSD.
yeah.
Now, you have
PTSD, by the
intrusive.
way, just saying, PTSD is not mentioned in my textbook because it's not an emotional trauma, it's the result of one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Basically, you have intrusive symptoms, avoidance symptoms, and arousal symptoms. And intrusive symptoms, they're like, distressing memories or images that what?
I know, I'm just like, is there two pandas behind you?
Yes.
They multiplied!
No, one's from the zoo where I visited you. That's the one more brightly colored, and the other one from the Zagreb Zoo.
They multiplied.
Yes. They are friends.
Okay, back to
Yes,
PTSD.
the intrusive symptoms of PTSD. You have like PTS, yes. You have like flashbacks, distressing memories or images of incidents that happened, nightmares. Do we actually know to what extent these apply to any of our characters? And nightmares, maybe to some extent to
All of them,
all of them, yeah,
definitely.
probably. And then you have avoidance symptoms. Some of them, like signs, are gaps in memory, thoughts, like reminders of trauma. They try to avoid it. But also, they try to avoid feelings, places, and people that are connected to the trauma. They have losing interest in normal activities, feeling cut off or detached from loved ones, feeling flat or numb, and they have difficulty imagining the future, which I believe most
Rick.
apply to Juliet.
Rick,
Mhm.
too. Rick, too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a fair point. And then you have
TC too? Didn't he mention stuff that strikes that too? Which one was the one that was set in the cinema?
In what?
I think it was it was Rick. It was Rick. I'm sorry. Brain went there. It was Rick. It was not TC. TC just was like, hey, I had it too. We can use William now. He would know what happened. He's good about that.
He's the TC expert.
He's the TC expert.
yeah.
Yes, definitely.
100%.
And the last category of symptoms is arousal symptoms, which I think all apply to Tom, especially in season 3, which are sleep disturbance, concentration problems, constantly on the lookout for signs of danger, jumpy, easily startled, anger, and irritability. He's like this textbook example of these types of symptoms.
Yeah. Why I corrected you about PTSD to PTS is we don't know if they have PTSD, but they show symptoms of PTS, post-traumatic stress. We don't know if it's a disorder. There is now currently this talk about that being separate things, which I think is why OI50 spoke about PTS and not about PTSD for McGarrett, because let's be real, none of them are qualified to diagnose PTSD in him, but they are qualified to see that he has post-traumatic stress. And definitely, Magnum definitely has it in season 3. Clear as fucking daylight. Higgins has it, especially in season 1. Again, clear as daylight. Rick and TC both mention having it after the POW camp. Magnum clearly had it after the POW camp. They're all walking, talking examples of having to move away from a place because of the trauma they suffered. Yeah. And all of these emotional wounds are trauma that can cause PTSD. Because there's literally no emotional trauma or physical trauma too small to cause some form of PTSD.
should we move to spoilers, or we have more drama to
Should
talk
we move
about?
to brighter shores?
Yes.
Let's move to brighter shores. As usual, everybody listening and watching, if you don't want to see and don't want to hear more spoilers because you already heard about the promo, we don't class that as spoilers because everybody could see it. Move away now. This is your last warning. Move away now. Now we're talking about spoilers. And there's a lot of them, isn't there?
Big
speaking
ones.
of
I wouldn't say there's a lot. I wouldn't
Um,
say there's a lot, but there's big ones.
We're not mentioning all of the spoilers that were accidentally leaked. Because
That's what I was gonna say. We're not
Yeah.
gonna
that's
gonna
a
go
bit
there.
far. But like
That was
tiny spoilers, that's what you're gonna get here.
So, numero uno
Numero uno.
is we got the official synopsis for 401.
Give us the official synopsis.
So it says, Island vibes. As Magnum tries to keep his new relationship a secret and handles cases solo while Higgins is away, he is tasked with finding a single mom being hunted by two very dangerous gangs. Also, while Higgins is abroad with Ethan, a misstep forces her to assist an old employer. And Rick gets some bad, but also very, very good news on the 4th season premiere of Magnum PI, Friday, October 1st on CBS. So there's that.
I'm gonna say it now. The I think the old employer is MI6. Because
I
there's
agree.
literally 2 employers in real life that we know of.
Yep.
3 actually.
3?
Robin
just-
Masters, MI6, and the Arabian Prince that
Oh,
was mentioned
yes.
for the tuna case.
Wasn't that while she was in MI6 though?
We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, it was
I
never
would bet my
specified.
ass. I would bet anything that it was during MI6 days.
So we shall see. But my guess is MI6 is the employer, and my other guess is that the very, very bad / good news is Susie is pregnant.
Then,
Because as we all
yeah.
know, Betsy's pregnant in real life. So I'm putting it out
It
there.
would be so easy to just incorporate it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to spoiler numero dos, number 2. We have the episode name for 407. It is called A New Lease on Death, which again
Season is so tough.
is
Yeah.
insane. And the very cool part about this episode is the story is
Yes!
by Zach.
Da-da-da. Zach
So
Knighton.
that's cool. What else do we have? We have the video that Purdy posted of her running on a roof attached to a harness, which I can only assume leads to some sort of crazy something.
Not necessarily. It's on the Kahala. That thing's high. It doesn't necessarily have to be
Yeah.
a stunt. It could be, definitely.
But-
and if it's a
but-
stunt, it's an awesome stunt. But that kind of rigging up there when you're just running could also just be so she doesn't accidentally fall off the roof.
But-
There's a safety requirement. Now you go
But
to
I
the stunt
know-
part.
But I know because they've had other rooftop things where they haven't been rigged up. So I'm like, I am fairly confident that it is a
100%.
stunt.
100%. But I'm gonna say it again. It's technically something that you have to do. So if they haven't rigged them, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously, there's requirements. At least here.
Not so much of a spoiler, but more of a this is totally fucking awesome. If you guys are watching the YouTube version of this, I will show it to you briefly, but you can also find it. We got a new header.
Yeah.
and it's
and
gorgeous.
So good. It is so good.
And so distracting.
There is parts of people's physique uncovered that is very distracting. Yeah, distracting. As proven, I can't even speak English after that.
What else? Am I missing anything? I'm just going through my stuff
Casting
because
call. We had a new
Which
casting
one?
call.
which one?
For flight attendants.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, the
for
flight
flight
attendant
attendants?
casting call. Right. We've had some flight attendant casting calls. Very true. Yeah, so there was the flight attendant casting call. If you do want to check out the super spoilery stuff that we are not going to talk about, I do believe that it's on Tumblr. I think somebody posted it. Could be wrong, but
We're not recommending this. This is not just super spoiler stuff. In one case, if you think about if you mentally translate what's happening to what that leads to, that is like essentially a synopsis of half the episode, which leaves you with essentially no surprises. So don't do that.
yeah. So we I mean, can't unsee it. So you know it if you know it. If you are somebody who does enjoy getting super spoilers / half the season synopsis and you really can't help yourself, it
Go
is out
for it.
there. But just also that I use that as a warning. If you're somebody who doesn't want to see it, heads up, it is on Tumblr in all its glory. Yeah, I think that's it for spoilers.
Should we mention one of the super spoilers though, the new character?
Oh, go ahead.
I forgot his name, but there's a new character that interacts with TC and Rick mostly. And
Cade or something.
Yeah, thank you, Cade. His
Yeah.
name's Cade, and I don't know, he reminds me of Nahele from the super spoilers, and that's it. There's a new character that reminds me of Nahele. And if you don't know who Nahele is, watch out Y50.
Or Google it at the very minimum.
No, watch it. Nahele's storyline is one that you should definitely watch because it's cute.
Agreed.
Also, some of us are going back to being threatened with lockdowns. So go be mentally in Hawaii, and not physically, please. Thank you. And that's not because I don't want you to go. If I would love for you to go, but Hawaii's actually telling you not to go.
Yeah, the Governor Egg has said, do not come to Hawaii unless you absolutely have to.
Or if you want to die, because they apparently ran out of hospital beds.
Yeah, I read that. So we don't want the beautiful island and the people who live there to be
endangered,
inconvenienced and endangered, and we also don't want production to have to shut down. So
I mean, not going is an inconvenience in itself too, but like the endangering thing is important to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you want to support a small local business in Hawaii without having to go there, Egan's Boot Camp, thank you. Join it. It's awesome. Anything else that we want to say about Magnum? Or anything?
Not that I can think of. No.
Well, in that case, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. If you already listened to us, you know where to find us, I think. If you are a fan fiction writer for Magnum PI, come at us at Instagram and Twitter. We're looking for you guys. We want a fanfiction episode, and we're looking for you guys to talk to you guys about that. So please be on the show. It's fun.
It is.
Yep. Most of the time, at least. 100% of the time so far. So see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.